Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Coming Out Stories from India series. Growing up in India, I had no role models to help affirm my own sexual, orientation. Many of the conversations we've had, and Nicola, I'm going to stop, Nicola. I can hear your. I'm sorry, not trying to be a diva. I can hear an echo. I'll continue talking, but you'll have to cut this portion. And I'll play the intro with you. Yeah, because I can hear an echo. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Coming Out Stories from India series. Growing up in India, I had no role models to affirm my own sexuality. Many of the conversations we've had on coming out from India had a similar narrative. No role models, no Indian lived experiences. The last few years, since my own journey of coming out, I have been looking for such stories and, I couldn't find any. Nicola and I decided to launch these coming out stories from India to ensure that there was access to such stories for the next generation and for all those who need to hear such stories. It is heartwarming, we receive a lot of emails, messages from people now who are able to see and relate to such lived experiences. These stories, we hope, will leave a legacy for all of us in India, from the community and our allies for years to come. I'm Raga Olga D'silva, or Totally Out Now, as you know me. Wow, our guest today, she's a fellow Mangalorian, which I absolutely love. A very talented, a very versatile person. She started her career in the fashion industry. She was in it for 15 years until a few years ago, she decided to follow her passion. And now she is a well known chef. Please join me in welcoming Beena Noronha.
Hi. Hi,
Hey,
Olga.
Beena.
Hi.
Welcome. And first of all, thank you so much for accepting our invite to be on our Coming Out Stories from India series.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited to, be on the show.
Thank you. I love your hair, by the way. And I was trying to see, can you see mine? Gray and blue and red.
Thank you.
It's a multicolored personalities, isn't it?
I try to be.
I
Since
don't
I'm
think you
from the
try
community,
hard.
I have to, be like, show some representation. So I'm trying to show it through my hair.
Do you think that's the way we show our representation?
Kind of. I think most of us who are queer, we kind of stand out. So I think this is our way of showing, that we exist.
I'm looking forward to talking to you more. Beena, let me start with asking you, where did you grow up? This is my common story, common question to everyone. Where did you grow up? And even before that, how do you identify yourself? Just so that we
So
know.
I identify as a lesbian woman.
And
And I
your
grew up
pronouns?
she, her.
Okay.
Those are my pronouns.
Okay.
I was born in India, in Bombay, but I moved to Muscat because my dad works there. I grew up in Muscat, and then I came back when I was 18 years old to do my fashion designing. So I came back to Bombay to pursue that.
So basically, your formative years, your first 18 years, you grew up in Muscat, outside of India.
Yeah, so I think I moved to Muscat when I was about around 6 years old.
Okay.
I was in
Okay.
Bombay until then, till I finished
Sure.
my first standard, I think. In my second
Okay.
standard is when I moved to Muscat, yeah,
Sure.
with my
So
mom and my brother.
okay, that was my question. So the entire
Yeah.
family moved. So just tell me about
Yes.
your growing up years with your family. What was your family like? What was your surrounding like? Did you
Hmm.
grow up in a communal place kind of a thing? Because I don't know much about Muscat.
Yeah. So basically, living in Muscat was like living in India. You're surrounded by Indians. You see Indians everywhere, so you don't feel like you're outside India. Um, when I was growing up, it was there wasn't a lot of freedom to go out, do things by yourself, because it's an Arab country. Um, I spent most of my time in school actually. I was into a lot of sports, drama, music, singing, stuff like that. So I would, spend the first half of my day school, come back for lunch, and then go back to school again. Yeah, and I'm not really close to my family emotionally. I'm not really attached to them, but I was really close to my friends because I was spending a lot of time with them. So
So even
uh,
growing up until you're saying until 18 you were in Muscat, even at that
yeah,
time you were not emotionally close to your family, or did
no,
that change later?
no, I mean, I wasn't really close to my family because my dad was really strict. So we wouldn't talk much. I think I mean, decently close to my mom. My mom she used to do babysitting, and usually there were a lot of kids at home, and yeah, I love kids, so I used to spend a lot of time with those kids. But yeah, that's what I remember. Family time mostly. At home, a lot of kids around. We didn't really, and of course, there are some really beautiful beaches in um, Muscat. So I remember, going out. I also have extended family in Muscat, like my dad's brother and his wife, and my mom's brother, wife, family, kids. So I do have a lot of extended family in Muscat. So we would go out like often during our holidays to beaches and parks and stuff, but I wasn't really attached to anyone. Like I didn't have like a go-to person within the family. I had a lot of friends in school, um, and I was really emotionally attached to them. You can say, but not really my family.
Okay. So I'm just going to take you back to when I started the conversation. I said, welcome
Yeah,
to another Mangalorean friend, The
yeah,
reason I said because we are, at the end of the day, I understand Mangalore because my family comes from there. I've spent quite a bit of my summer
mm,
vacation in Mangalore.
yeah,
So we are traditional, we are often conservative, we
yeah,
often have a life that we lead in the house
hmm,
and one outside because
yeah,
of the strict parenting.
hmm,
I've been through that as well. We often have different rules for men and for women,
yes,
girls and
yes,
boys, right? We come from that kind of a background.
hmm,
And the strictness, like you said, it's just for some
hmm,
reason the men are
hmm,
always extremely strict with the women. So was that environment for you as well? Like you said, when you say, is that how it was in your home, even in though you were in Muscat?
I would say yes, definitely, because I did have a younger brother. He was just 1 year younger, but I could see that, like he getting very different treatment from me. Also, when I was growing up, it was really difficult to deal with my identity because, I would always want to dress up in shirts and jeans, and I was told that I should wear more dresses. And my mom used to literally beat me up sometimes, like because especially, I mean, we would every Friday we would go to the church, right? And it was a big ordeal, for me because you had to dress up to go to church. And my mom would want me to wear dresses, and I would not. So I would hate when there was a Friday coming because I had to go through that whole ordeal and this trauma. Yeah, so uh, I mean, even while growing up, I realized that I spent a lot of time with friends who were also my brother's friends, and mostly they were boys. Girls were not very outgoing, they would not want to play sport, and I was very much into sports. I would love football, cycling, and all the things that the boys would love to do. So I would spend a lot of time with the boys.
And your father
Um,
was all right with you hanging out with your brother's friends who were like
yeah,
male?
because they were mostly from the building,
Okay.
and I don't think there were many girls in the building who were my age. So I ended up, hanging out a lot with boys.
So I'm going to come
So
back.
yeah, yeah,
No, no, sorry. So I'm just going to take you back, okay? I'll
yeah,
keep
sure,
taking you back until we take you forward, okay?
sure,
So you said that you had a lot of, like, you had emotional connect with friends from school, for
yeah,
instance.
yeah,
So I'm going to ask you, did you go to a co-ed school or did you go to an all-girls school? And if you had
yeah. It was
emotional
a
connects, were
yeah.
you crushing by then? And how old were you when you started that?
So I it was a co-ed school. Um, I think my first memory was, I would say, about like when I was in sixth standard, maybe. There was this one girl I was really attracted to, and but of course at that time, considering I was in a Gulf country, Arab country, these things were not spoken about, right? Like about being gay and stuff like that. So um, I didn't know why I was feeling that way. I just thought I was weird. And at the same time, I was really popular in school because I was in so many, activities, co-curricular activities. So I was pretty popular. So I had a lot of friends and guy friends. And then, peer pressure, you're told like, okay, who do you like? You're supposed to date a guy. So I would, do the things that you're told to do by friends. I tried dating some guys in school. And I thought maybe, I do like them. Uh, but I think at some point I realized I'm not very physically or sexually attracted to them in spite of trying hard. It wasn't really working out for me. I remember the first time I kissed a guy. He was in school, and I thought, this is insane. I was like, kiss is so overrated. I mean, why would people, you know, talk so much about a kiss? And I just thought it was really overrated, and I didn't feel anything. But yes, many years later is when I realized what a kiss means.
So I'm going to then ask you to compare your first kiss with a girl.
Oh, it was amazing. Like I think my brain was all, it blew. Everything inside me just fused out, you can say.
And how old were you?
I was 18. Yeah, that's the first time I kissed a girl.
Okay, so did you have any crushes on school teachers?
Not really. I
Okay.
don't think there were any hot teachers in school. They were pretty old. Yeah,
Okay, so I'm going to come back again. I'm going to take you back. So you're in school and you
yeah,
started feeling in sixth standard. You started feeling your first kind of excitement around girls, and you
yeah,
started crushing. So you made a comment and you said you started feeling that something was not right with you.
yeah. Mm.
So why would you think that? Is it because other girls you found them wanting, or liking boys as they did at that age?
Yeah, because I mean that's what you see, right? As you're growing up, that's the first. That's what the block is, right? The society puts this picture in front of you, man and a woman together, right? You see that as you're growing up. You see your parents, you see your relatives, you see everybody. And when you're in school, because it's majorly, you can say, I mean, I hope not, but majorly straight people around. And even if they're not. I mean, they don't know what being gay means, or this was not spoken about at that time. So girls would talk a lot about being with boys and doing the cool thing. I mean, and especially when you're popular, I think there's a lot of peer pressure. So,
Sure, sure.
um,
So
yeah,
were you ever exposed during, I'm talking about only your first 18 years of your life, okay? We'll come to
yeah,
the later part later. But were you ever exposed in that time to anything, any gay related, queer related material or conversation or films?
Not really, but they were like loose comments passed in school, right? Like boys would say, if some guy was a bit feminine, they would make fun of him. They would say pass silly remarks. I mean, they don't really know what it means, but they would just say you're so pansy or something. And if a girl is too touchy, they would say, "Are you a lesbo? Move away from me." Those remarks. And then that would, I think, that kind of subconsciously kind of affected how I was feeling, because I was thinking that, oh my god, like lesbo means like this desperate person who's into women, and it's weird because this is not how it's meant to be, right? So I would sometimes feel like I'm sick, you know, mentally sick. um, that's how I
Interesting.
felt when I was growing up. Yeah.
So the word lesbo, that
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
slurs basically that
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
surrounding you,
Yeah.
that made you feel uncomfortable owning that term as well, right?
Yeah, it felt uncomfortable because I don't think people understand that gender and sexuality are two different things. It wasn't, the concept of gender and sexuality was not so evolved at that time, right? So even if you see, like when they would say lesbo, or they would, the first thing that would come to my mind was like eunuchs or transgender people, or because I would not want to wear dresses. I would want to dress up like a. I was very tomboyish. It's not that um, I mind wearing dresses, but it's just that I would prefer to wear a shirt and jeans or t-shirt. So all that just made me feel really weird because I didn't know, because I was comfortable with my body. So, but I wanted to dress up in a certain way. So I was really confused, even about my gender, along with my sexuality. But I didn't know how to address it or talk to anybody. Though I was emotionally close and attached to some of my friends, but these things were not spoken about. So I never spoke to anybody about this.
Correct. I agree. I mean, these things were just not spoken about. But
Yeah.
again, I'm very curious to understand this because in India, when I grew up, for instance, the Hijra community or the eunuchs or the trans, as we know, they
Mhm.
were we were surrounded by them. So
Yeah.
there was a certain amount of exposure. So even
Yes.
in my subconscious way, like I knew that this was a Hijra or
Mhm.
there was
Mhm.
another community. But
Mhm.
you, was it similar in Muscat? So did you have that exposure to other trans community?
No, there was no exposure as in such, but I think it's, I wouldn't remember exactly what it was. It probably would be movies and stuff, like that's where you would see these characters, right? I don't think I saw, I mean, in India, you're still exposed to transgender people, like, because they are forced to do beg on the streets, or you come across, people. But in Muscat, not really. You don't come across any trans people, but it's just you see them in movies, right? And you see, like, and it's also projected very wrongly in the old movies. If you see, they stereotype transgender people, and I think that's what made me think, like, maybe this is weird, like, or how I'm behaving or how I'm feeling.
Yeah, Beena, it is fascinating for me. And we have so many guests, and everybody has a similar story to share. But in
Yeah.
your case, it's a little different because you were living away from India. But
Yeah.
what it tells me is the power of a story, whether it is in
Hmm.
books, whether it is through storytelling or through
Yeah.
films, right? Even
Yeah.
without your knowledge, somewhere in your
Yeah.
subconscious, there was this, I'm going to say, a fear of being called a
Yeah.
trans person, which even
Yeah.
I've had. Even now, people call. They don't know the
Yeah.
difference between a lesbian and a
Hmm.
eunuch. I mean, we know
Hmm.
that already.
Hmm.
But I'm going to
Hmm.
just again, as we go along, I want to understand. So here you are. Your our parents buy us clothes to a certain when we are 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever 10, depending upon
Hmm.
families, right? So your mother would have brought you dresses, but at some point
Hmm.
your preference change, and then you want to then wear what you feel like, and you
Hmm.
preferred wearing your slacks and a shirt.
Yeah.
So was there anything at that time where, like you said, you had a tussle in your head where I know your mother didn't like that fact that you chose pants over dresses, but did you have any kind of, not confusion, tussle? Were your friends, I'm sure, wearing dresses, and you're identifying yourself in a pant and a shirt? What were you feeling at that time?
I think I don't know if I remember correctly, but I remember that I always wanted to be myself, and I cared very less, about what people had to say. I mean, I would still put up, like, with my mom, forcing me and stuff, but I felt like, when I was in school, I was just myself. I didn't care about what anyone thought. And I felt like, because I was involved in so many activities and people knew me, So I always got enough attention from girls and boys, because I was, when you're growing up, people want to hang around popular people. So I found myself surrounded with a lot of friends who were boys and girls. But yeah, and I did have a lot of guys asking me out, you know, and girls who thought I was really cool. But I don't think anyone ever pointed out saying that, oh, are you lesbian or you like women? And I think, I don't think because I was trying to fit in when I was in school. So I was putting up this act, right, of liking boys and doing these things. And I don't think the whole fantasy world of being in love and was on my mind ever. I was so much involved in sports and stuff like that, so I didn't really pay attention to what I'm attracted to or stuff like that when I was in school. I think it only changed when I came back to Bombay.
So that was my next. So then you came back to Bombay after you were
Yeah,
18. That's when
yeah.
things changed for you. So what did you do with your life at that time? Let's say from school to what happened to you after that?
So after school, since I was so multi-talented, you can say, I'm blessed that I I'm inclined towards music and drama and painting and stuff. I didn't really know what I want to do in life. I didn't really know, what I want to become. And I started cooking when I was 7. Like I would watch my mom, and I would really love to cook, and I would get really excited when guests would come over, and my mom used to tell me there's this one aloo tikki that I used to make that she used to tell me every time the guests came to make. But when you're growing up, and especially when you're a woman, no one says, "Arey, if you cook good food, you can become a chef." They say, "Oh, you cook good food for your husband." That's what they think, right? No one. So I also never saw it like becoming, it's something like a passion which can be converted to a profession. I always thought, oh, I love cooking. That's something I enjoy. But I was very good with sketching and creativity. So I think I did, one, two, three, and I just randomly chose to do fashion designing after an aptitude test. So I came back to Bombay. I did my fashion designing, which was a diploma course for a year. And yeah, I think it was a sudden shift for me. It was a big shift for me, a big change in my life. When I was in Muscat, I had to be like in school and then back home, very restricted life, no going out, no party, nothing. And then suddenly I came to Bombay. Um, uh, I was just living with my mom and brother, and sometimes my mom used to travel back to Muscat, so I was on my own. Uh, me and my brother, we made great friends where we were staying, and in college. And I think, yeah, that's when I started exploring a lot of things about me, not just my sexuality, but a lot of other things. And then I think I stumbled over someone who uh, I mean, we became friends, and then one thing led to another, and then I realized that it so happened that that person was also attracted to me, but it was very closeted because no one spoke about it even then in Bombay too. You know.
Okay, we're talking about another woman, right? At this point,
Yeah,
by this
yeah,
point,
yeah,
you're
yeah,
attracted to another
yeah,
girl, and
yeah,
both were closeted, and there was
yeah,
attraction, and then you explored
yeah,
that further.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so basically, your discovery process
yeah.
started, I would say, or you
From there,
allowed
yeah,
yourself
yeah,
to discover. We
yeah,
give ourselves
yeah,
permission, right?
yeah.
So, did that make you feel okay, or were you still troubled and thinking, "What is this? Is something wrong with me?"
Um, well, I was happy because obviously, who's not happy when you find love? That was not really love, I would say. I mean, but I was happy that, I'm getting to explore this side of me. But it was completely closeted. And I think somewhere in my subconscious, I was still in denial. I hadn't accepted myself. I loved what was happening, but I don't think I was okay to tell people about myself. I didn't want to go out there and tell everyone, oh, I'm gay. And, because I didn't have any support system. even for someone to come out of a closet, you really need a strong support system. And I think it's important to have a strong, it becomes easier to come out of the closet if you have a strong support system at home. And I didn't have that. So it was really difficult. I think for the first time I really came out was maybe when I was 28. It's
Wow.
much later, not
Wow.
for all those years I've lived a closeted life. Like, even
Wow.
now, I don't think I'm completely out there. This is my chance, maybe through the show, but yeah,
So like this, I'm like really, really, really curious, right? Because
yeah,
you said you had your mom with you most of the time, you had your
yeah,
brother.
yeah, yeah.
So it's like almost like living a double life, right?
Yeah, it
Even at
was
that
for a
time.
very
Yeah.
long time. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was.
So were they not able to kind of catch on that there's something happening in your life? Male, female doesn't matter. Did your
Mm,
mom never ask you, were you dating anyone or if what was happening?
no, because we don't. We are not much of a sharer family. Like we don't really share much or sit down to talk about anything. We only talk to each other when there is a need. It's like that. Okay, hi, how are you? Fine. Is this is what I need? This is what you need. And watch TV, eat dinner, and that's it. We never spoke about anything generally about life or what we're doing, who we're dating. I don't think I ever had that conversation.
Sounds like every
Um,
family in our times.
yeah, exactly.
That's all you did.
So yeah, so that's the reason it took me so long to come out of the closet and actually be able to address this thing with my mom as well.
Sure. So I'm going to come to that. We'll hang on to that. That's the
Yeah,
special part.
sure.
So when you're dating somebody, you're happy, although you're in the closet, you're exploring a part of you. So at what point did you then discover that this is it? This is what you are, this is what you want. And whether you tell the world or not, it doesn't matter. But to
Mhm.
yourself, that's the most important thing, right?
Yeah.
So when did you accept that? I know you said you came out at 28, but when did
Mm.
you come out to yourself fully?
I think that's also when I came out to myself because so when I was working in 2007 for a retail company, I met my who's now my best friend. I met her there, and generally, I think she just, I was a senior and she had just joined, and she just asked me if I'd like to, grab a drink or something. And we went out, and I think she was the first person who actually directly asked me ever in my life because I was dating someone before that, my first relationship, and I went through a really bad breakup. But I had made up stories at work that I'm dating this guy, and no one ever questioned me. And I was so obviously gay looking. I was surprised that no one would ever ask me this question. But she directly asked me, "You're into girls, right?" And for the first time, someone had asked me that, and I just looked at her and I said, "Yes." And I was very happy that day that someone had asked me this, and I could say yes to this question. And that's when I started coming out really of the closet. And she's the one who encouraged me to go online. And she said, "You can't be the only lesbian in Bombay. It's not possible." And I thought I was at that time. So
We were neighbors,
I
we
didn't
didn't see
know.
each other.
Yeah, I didn't know how to find. Like, there were no dating apps and there were no places to, like, how would you meet people unless, like, all the girls I have been with, the women I've dated, it just, you meet at work and then one thing leads to another. And uh, to my, I don't know if it's a talent, but I've always dated women who was, they are bisexual, but they were straight before me. So they used to call me the converter. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
how it works. So I never
sure.
really met until then. I never really until I met people in the community. I never really met anyone who knew that they were gay or like who was out.
Sure.
So
But Beena, how did it make you feel when you were going through that whole discovery process? And let's say you came out to yourself, your colleague asked you, and I'm going to come back to asking you that
yeah,
question as well. How did you think that you were gay presenting? We'll come back to that
yeah,
question.
yeah,
But you know, often people say to me that I was so scared, I was so afraid I was going to have a lonely
mm,
life because
mm,
yes, there were no apps, there was no way to hang out
yeah.
and find. So what were you
Mhm.
feeling? Did you feel that I'd rather date boys? Guys, at least I will have someone, some companionship. Was it going anything like this going in your mind?
No, I don't think I ever felt that way because somehow I always found someone. The only the first girlfriend that I had, and that was a completely closeted relationship. And then after she got married and moved on and stuff like that, it took me a long time to come to terms with it. Like I was in depression for a very long time, and this is before I met my best friend who had asked me this question. So it was a completely closeted relationship, and when it ended, it was hard because I couldn't talk to anybody about it. I had to deal with everything myself, and this was in the early. I mean, this is in 2006, 7. And people are now talking about mental health. Then
Yeah.
there weren't, and there was. I mean, I couldn't seek therapy. Even if I would, they would like think I'm crazy. Or I mean, this that was not really an option, to go see therapy. So I had to deal with everything myself. So my life was pretty messed up at that time. But I think I just, it was good for me that I met this friend of mine, like this colleague who became my best friend then. And I think she plays a really big role in my life, uh, in a way that I think I found myself through her. Like she helped me accept myself, and she helped me to come out of the closet, talk to people about it, and also be okay with myself. Really.
So when you accepted it because of your friend, I would say, right? She was
Yeah,
the catalyst for you to
yeah, yeah,
have not only discovered yourself but have
yeah.
accepted yourself, which is most
Hmm.
critical. So was it easier for you then to share about your sexual identity with your family, for
Definitely,
instance? Let's talk about
definitely.
family. How did you break it to your mom, and how was your reaction?
So breaking it to my mom and all this came much later. That all happened only after I met the community. So when the friend I made, my best friend, name is Anu. When Anu said that you can't be the only lesbian, please go online, do this. So I came across this website called Pink Sofa. At that time, it was really popular, and I think mostly there were all more people from abroad. There were hardly any people from India, but I did meet someone from Delhi, and I we became good friends. And she told me there's a big community in Bombay, and I was really excited that, oh my god, is that true? So she passed on a contact in Bombay. Then I connected with her, and that's when I met this whole community, that I didn't know existed. And this was in 2009, almost when the year was ending. And my life just, took a 360-degree turn. Everything changed then. I came out to myself. I understood what sexuality meant completely, because then I was meeting so many people with different identities. I started understanding gender better because I was around people, with identified differently. Then I met also parents of other gay kids who were very accepting, and I think that's when it gave me little courage to come out to my mom. Not that she didn't know though. She had actually found some letters from my girlfriend before, and she had become complete hostile about it. And she
Okay.
was in complete denial, and she did not want to accept it. Also because she's very religious, Catholic family. She didn't want to accept, and she said that somebody has done something to you. This is not you. And I can't believe she would say that because she's seen me grow up. Yeah,
Mm.
she's seen me. Um, when I was growing up as a kid, I always had long hair. I actually had hair till my hips, and I always wanted to cut my hair, but I was not allowed. I was really not allowed. I think the first time I cut my hair this short was when I was in college, when I came to Bombay. So
Interesting.
yes,
Yeah, there
yeah.
you are. Hey, was there
So this is a
pressure on you?
completely confused person.
No, a beautiful person who wants to be themselves, no matter
Yeah,
what. That is what
yeah.
it presents to me. But tell me, Beena, was there pressure on you to get married at any point? Because Mangalorean families are known for this denial and then
Mhm.
force you to think that you're not right in how you're thinking. You need to marry and everything will be sorted.
Mm, I don't think there was pressure uh, in that severity because it was. I mean, of course, my mom used to say that everyone's getting married, everyone's asking about you. What should I say? What should I say? But I would say, tell them to ask me. Why are they asking you? Like, and I was pretty bold. Like, I was always a bold personality, though I was not out, but I was pretty open about my opinions, and I was pretty bold. So, I think I didn't have to face so much pressure as I've seen my other friends. What they've gone through. But I don't think I had to deal with. But eventually, when all my cousins were getting married and everybody was getting married and everyone, I don't think anybody somehow. I think people are a bit scared of me, though I'm not really a scary person. I'm pretty friendly, but I think because I'm bold, I kind of give out that vibe that uh, maybe I can't ask her. So I was never, I mean, I would have some people ask me, but generally there was not a lot of pressure. There
Okay, that's
wasn't.
great. So, what about your brother? Did he ever speak to you about it? Did he ever question?
He also was not, no, he never questioned. I think after I told my mom is when I also, I think I told him over message on Facebook. He was living in Bangalore then. And I think he knew, but I just like, I told him and he was saying it's fine, it's okay. You can be
Excellent.
whoever you want to be. Like that's fine.
That's excellent. And what about
Yeah.
your dad?
So my dad, I don't think he knows. I don't think he still knows. Yeah,
So, your mother has
he's
not
not
told
aware.
him.
My mom, no. My mom wants me to kind of. I think yeah. She's typically those Indian wives who tries to live by the rules of the society and project that this is a happy family and everything is okay when it's not okay. So I don't think she ever, she just told me there's no need for you to tell him. I mean, he's least um, uh, involved in your life, so maybe you should just keep it that way.
And does it bother you that you haven't been able to tell your co-parent, right? A parent.
Yeah, but I'm not really close to him. And so I don't feel, I'm not very connected. So I don't feel like I feel like I don't feel the need, because I mean, he's my biological father, yes, but he's not really involved in my life. So, in a way, I feel like if that's how she wants it, I'm just respecting her decision over
Sure.
it.
And
I'm not
and
really.
do you ever worry about him finding out and having a reaction,
I
or you
used
make
to
peace?
worry.
Yeah.
No. I used to worry. You know, in fact, even about doing this show, right? Like, I thought, oh my God, it's going to be on YouTube, and I've
Yeah.
never done something. But like my friends said, like I spoke to a friend of mine about this, and she said that you're almost going to turn 40 soon. I mean, does it make any? Is there any point in not completely coming out or letting people know? How does it matter? You're not dependent on anyone, and it's high time. Like people know you for who you are, and really, if they're going to judge you, in spite of where you are in your life, and keep hold this against you, then they're not really your friends, or they don't deserve to be part of your life. So I just thought, yeah, I mean, I'll do this because I also did something like this a few years ago in 2009. I met this person who came from Italy, a friend of mine. She makes movies, and she made this movie called a documentary series called 365 without 377. Okay,
Oh, wow.
and yeah, and she liked my story, so she said, can we cover your story? And I was one of the main characters. There was a gay man, name is Pallav, and another transgender person. And that movie had great reviews all over the world. Like, it was played in London Queer Film Festival, in Boston Film Festival, and I used to get email from people. I even had Stephen Fry interview me because of
Oh, wow.
that. Yeah, so that also, so I think that was my first initial journey of, the whole coming out process. And but that movie wasn't really out anywhere because we I wasn't completely out, so I didn't want, because of my mom and family and stuff. So that's why you won't find it available, to watch online. But I'm guessing that this will be available to everyone to
Yeah, it
watch.
will be available,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah,
hope that I really hope that
yeah,
the friends who haven't accepted watch
yeah.
this. The family
It's
that
not. I
isn't
don't
in.
think. Yeah, I've never had really a bad experience to say. I've never. There's it. It has never happened that I've come out to someone and they've not accepted it. Whoever I've come out to, they've accepted it and they love me for who I am. It's just that I haven't gone and told anyone. Like, probably if my school friends watch this, they would probably like not know that, the side of me, because of course in school I've dated boys.
Sure.
And I don't, on my social media also, I don't put up a lot of posts about my sexuality or anything like that. It's always about food or my, my just my pictures. So
So I can be the Anu in your life. Now you can start posting more. Just live your
yeah,
life
maybe.
because,
Yeah, yeah,
I waited till I was 50, Beena, to live my
yeah,
life, and it's
yeah,
so liberating. And I look back and I
yeah,
think, what was I worrying about? Who was I fearing? Those people don't matter
yeah,
anyway.
yeah,
Those who matter will stay, and those who don't
exactly.
stay don't matter.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a couple of questions which are again raising my curiosity. One is when you said people could see that I was gay, you were gay presenting. I want to understand what that does mean for our audience. What does it mean? How do you know you're gay? Someone is gay.
So, like, even at work, I would dress up very tomboyish, and I had this whole swag, and the way I would talk would be so, tomboyish, or um, I would flirt a lot with the women in office and things like that. So, yeah, I think, and I wasn't really, into, I wouldn't check men out, or I wouldn't talk about men, where the other girls were, talking about men, checking other men out, and I wasn't doing all that. And yeah, they would find me always roaming around pretty girls. So
Good. I hope the
yeah,
community has lots of them.
not sure about that, but yeah.
You touched upon a topic which is very close to my heart because a lot of us, we don't really understand. And when I say a lot of us, people from the community, people from outside the community, our support network, our friends, they don't really understand what a queer person actually goes through. Because most of our lives, we live basically very inwards, very dark.
Mhm.
It takes us to dark places, right?
Yeah.
Then when we come out also, and when we have our own little individual relationships, even then we are not fully out, right? Because
Mhm.
you may have one or two friends. People don't really understand queer relationships. So who do you
Mhm.
go out to? Or you feel that they may judge you differently. So
Mhm.
mental health to me is a very important aspect of what we go through. How
Right.
do you deal with it? Your past, because we have all kind of created and accumulated
Mhm.
our darkness in a box. How
Mhm.
do you deal with the past?
So I think I've also gone through a couple of therapy sessions to actually be able to deal with myself, and I've also learned to accept, the way I've learned to accept others. very late in my life, I realized the importance of accepting yourself first, to be able to be okay with things in life. So through therapy and stuff like that, I realized that, I started thinking a lot about what I've gone through in my past and why I went through it. What's the importance of um, understanding yourself in sense your sexuality, your behavior, your troubles, or even like why I would chase certain kind of girls and why I would not find certain girls attractive because even if they're really great. So that had a lot to do with my childhood and my past, what I went through. But I think I'm lucky and fortunate to have great set of friends, uh, who've just managed to help me get through, and then also therapy that has helped me get through and realize where I want to be rather and what I want to do. Yeah,
So fantastic. So, a close support network is very important. That's what,
hmm,
people watching should
yeah,
understand, not just
yeah,
for the straight world or the heterosexual
yeah,
world, for every
yeah,
world, right? Every
yeah,
person
yeah,
needs a safe network. Sometimes it is not our own families,
yeah,
sadly, but we
yeah,
have extended families, and that's
right.
the friendships. In case of people who don't understand, and I always say this, Beena, people who don't understand our life, and it is normal not to understand our
Hmm,
lives, right? Because
hmm,
I don't understand so many other people's lives. I say
right.
that there is a lot of support available. There are stories coming out, stories from India here, stories
Hmm,
like Beena. Please watch them. Please listen to us. There are Swikar, the Rainbow Parents, for instance. There are people
hmm,
like maybe your mother could. I don't know whether she's already open to this or not, but hanging out with people from Swikar, the Rainbow Parent, where
hmm,
they have similar experiences. Just being open. My thing is just be
hmm.
open to something which doesn't fit into your comfort zone. That's
Yeah,
most important.
yeah.
Beena, I'm going to ask you one last question is, and then of course you can share what you want to share as well,
Hmm.
is what do you think about this new generation? Is there something that you feel that are they in the right path? Is there something that you feel we can do better? Is there a way we can guide them, or do you think that they are guiding us?
I think they are guiding us. Like I take a lot of inspiration from the young queer straight folks, all the youngsters. I think it's amazing how like they're out and they're so evolved, and so not tied down by these boundaries or like I recently met some youngsters and one of them came home with my friend and the first thing she when they came home they said hi, what's your pronoun? And that's the first conversation. And I've never had to, like with the oldies of my friends, you never go like they assume, right? They see you, okay, you have a feminine body, you're a girl, you identify as a woman. It's always assumed that you're. So I like this whole, how these youngsters are so evolved and so present, I would say, and they're not into all these assumptions or prejudices, that we have or we deal with in this society, and even to do with like, I mean, even now, I'm out, right? I'm out about. I've had girlfriends, but whenever I go to a public place or whatever, I would still be, behave in a certain way. I wouldn't hold my girlfriend's hand. I wouldn't do all that. But now, I remember I was traveling by train one day to work, and there were these like really young girls. They're probably 18, 19. They were all over each other. And I was so happy to see that. Like they were sitting amongst a lot of women in that crowded train, and they were all over each other. They were touching each other, and they didn't care. They did get a lot of stares, but they didn't care. And I was fascinated. I was really thinking, oh my God, I wish I was born now for like this generation. I wish I had the courage to be this way.
Well, I think you have the courage and you should be this way. So what? Age is like Oh, who cares? Like, really?
Yeah, yeah,
I want to go on the train one day and I want to see you with your girlfriend doing all the things that you saw
yeah.
the other girls do. Why not? I'm going to
Sure.
go.
Yeah, sure.
But you know,
For that, first you have to find me a girlfriend.
yeah, okay. Listen, coming out stories from India, this is a perfect place for you to find Beena. Just confess that
Yeah.
she's single in her own
Yes.
way. Yes, I'm sure we'll get messages, Beena. I will
Sure.
take the dowry. Sorry, no
Okay.
dowry talk. That's horrible talk. Please cancel this. But any messages? I'm really enjoying talking to you, but I have
Yeah.
to end
Yeah.
this show at some point. But
Yes.
any message
So,
for the new generation or for the old generation
mm. I would
like us,
just
huh?
say that uh, when we don't fit in, right? Uh, we make that thing everything about our life. Sexuality is just a part of our life. It's not everything. That's something that you need to look at that way. That's what I feel like I've been doing now. There's so many things to me. I don't just look at, oh, I'm gay, and so if you look at it that way, um, I think you'll just be like liberated. And um, uh, if you are able to be yourself completely and not think about all these boundaries that are set by the society, I think we can all just have a simple, happy life.
True.
You know?
No, that's a brilliant thing to say. That's a
Yeah,
brilliant thing to say. I always say, and I hear people say that if you bring your whole self to any
yeah,
relationship,
yeah,
friendship, or your
yeah,
workplace, or your school, or wherever you are,
yeah,
you're not canceling anything. You're fully
yeah,
there. And
yeah,
imagine if people allowed you to be that person. So
yeah,
much more you can give back, right?
hmm,
And I love
yeah,
that I started the show saying multi-talented, versatile, and I mean that. You
yeah,
are, and I love seeing your achievements. And when I've looked you up, I'm just like, apart from being a Mangalorean connection, it's just that I love seeing people from a community go
yeah,
beyond the sexual
yeah,
orientation and identities because, like you
yeah,
said, it's part of who we are, but it is not fully who we are. There is
yeah,
so much to us, and if we get that opportunity and the freedom to just be, I
yeah.
think this world will truly be a much better place.
Yes,
Veena, I
I
think
agree.
your story is remarkable. The way you share is like
Thank you.
heartwarming. Thank you very
Thank you.
much for being on a show. And I hope every person who watches this understands that this journey has not been easy, but it's a journey that doesn't have to be hard either. Right? So we all make a difference. We're
Agree.
all going to change the narrative one story at a time. I
Yes.
have to thank you, and I have to thank Nicola in the
Thank you.
background. Yeah,
Thank
for
you
for
for
being
having me on the show. It was really lovely talking to you, and I really enjoyed this experience.
wonderful. And we'll
Yeah.
do some more stuff again in the future because I think you have a great
Sure.
story. We will hopefully do more things for the community together as well. And
Sure.
at this point, I also want to thank our digital partners, our the Digital Fix, Duraya and team. I also want to thank the Herbal Theory for being a gifting partner. And Beena, we are going to send you a beautiful chotu, but a really nice hamper from the Herbal
Oh, thank
Theory.
you. Thank you
Right,
so
We
much.
all we all love candles and essences, right? I love oil. Oh, anyway,
Amazing.
and thank you very much to our wonderful audience who is always here for us, always engages in a beautiful, positive manner. Their support and your support means a lot to us. Please continue to write to us at theviewsroom@gmail.com. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Raga Olga D'silva. And any feedback, any thoughts are welcome, good, bad, everything is taken with as a constructive feedback. And I look forward to seeing you again. Write to us, like I said, at theviewsroom@gmail.com. Thank you, everyone. I'm Raga Olga De Silva, or Totally Out Now, as you know me. Thank you.